Oh, just to clarify, if you see them turn invisible, they're not teleporting, which is funny enough to me. They're just turning invisible, so they're leaving the scene. They're walking away Batman style. Technically, you could wave your arm around and still probably hit them. Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta. Yes, that is not Griffin, that is Lessons. We are substituting in Lessons for everything. Sorry, not even Griffin. It would have been Justin at some point. That's not Justin, that is Lessons. We're subbing in again for another one of our Patreon requested episodes. Once again, thank you to SevTQ for sponsoring yet another episode of sponsoring another episode of SFR. For sponsoring yet another episode of Fate Zero. We are about to finish the first season, which Lessons is jumping in right at the very end, which is the best way, I guess, to figure out what's going on. So I guess first thing is first. Do you know anything about Fate, the Fate series?
Well, I heard about Fate Night, which is the one I've seen the most art out there. Supposedly is these kids who have the ability to summon champions from human history.
You're one step away from Digimon.
But the way they recover their mana is very peculiar, very intimate.
Doesn't ring any bells to me.
Well, that's what I've heard. It's the internet, so it might just be pure BS.
Right? Read some fanfic and thought it was true.
Yeah, so and so they have Cole Cullen, they have like Pendragon, who's supposed to be, Arthur Pendragon's father, perhaps, but she's a woman here, but he's the spirit of her. Again, cultural osmosis. I know as much about this as I know about JoJo's, which is again purely cultural osmosis. People just put like this guy dodged a bullet with his little finger or something like that, or grew 10 sizes or whatever, right? And wearing these crazy funky clothes and with chains everywhere. So that's as much as I
don't
know
watch
about
JoJo, so I got no way in there.
Yeah. Or One Piece, which is this guy just stretches along and he's in a ship and there's another guy with a lot of swords.
Oh, I've watched over 1,000 episodes of One Piece. I could weigh in on that one, but I'm not.
And everybody's looking for the One Piece. Is supposed to be the thing that everybody wants.
Well, if you osmose enough, you know that the One Piece is real. So,
yeah.
Whatever that means. I still think the One Piece is the friendship that we made along the way. But that's what people don't want it to be. Anyway.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is I've shown you the board, in that I've linked you the board, and we can see your cursor is on it. It's not a lot of characters to deal with, but there is a lot of character relationships, although not as much as when I tried to show you Durarara. What I'm going to do is, instead of telling you off the top of my head, which I just don't trust, I have taken a recap from somebody else that reviewed Season 1, and I have removed the things from this episode. The things from this episode are... Actually, they didn't actually talk about what happens at the end of the show, so I don't actually know either. I've taken their recap and edited it slightly, and I'm just going to be reading you that. I think it does a better job of me doing what I did in Durarara, which I think was a complete failure on my end. And hopefully somebody will hit you with something better next time in a comment. So yeah, this anime is set 10 years before the events of Fate Stay Night, and tells of the Fourth Holy Grail War. It is a magical tournament set in Fuyuki City, Japan, where mages known as masters summon servants, reincarnations of heroic spirits like King Arthur, Alexander the Great, etc., to fight in a tournament in order to win the Holy Grail, a chalice capable of granting wishes. I think it's only supposed to be able to grant one wish. That's not here, but that's just off the top of my head. There are 7 servant classes: Saber, Archer, Caster, Berserker, Rider, Assassin, and Lancer. The main character is a man named Kiritsugu Imya, a mage killer who is in this tournament for his wife's family. His servant is the reincarnation of King Arthur, who is known as Saber, to hide her identity. And yes, King Arthur's true identity is Arturia Pendragon and a woman. The
Oh,
two of them effectively serve as foils to each other throughout the season and rarely share screen time despite being master and servant. You had a thought there, real quick?
oh, that the fact that it wasn't that Arthur got ginger change, is that Arthur was always a woman.
Yeah. Me and I think Griffin at the time, because it didn't come up, and Justin was with us, had a conversation about it kind of being a different version of what was her name? French. She fought for the French.
Joan of Arc.
Joan d'Arc. Joan of Arc. Yeah, kind of a version of that, except in this case, she was changed into a man historically to protect her legacy or something like that, but she was always a woman. Let's see, where was I? Kiritsugu's cynical views and ideologies contrast directly with Saber's honor. Irisvel, Emiya's wife, is put into the middle of the two and creates a profound bond with Saber as she serves as the proxy master in her husband's place. She is literally the replacement, as Saber and Kiritsugu would not work well as a team based on their different views of the war. Sadly, there is an episode that kind of plays this out really well that I wish I could have shown you because it's, to me, one of the best episodes of anime almost, where three of the servants sit down and talk about what it means to be king. Alexander the Great, Saber, obviously Arturia Pendragon, and what is his name? He's
Oh,
like the
Cullen.
king of kings. Sorry, he's I'm not zooming in right here. Who am I looking at? I'm zoomed out too far.
Gilgamesh.
Gilgamesh, yeah. They all have different views of what it is to be king. Like Saber's is more sacrificial. Alexander's is a king is the person who portrays the best in everything and the worst in everything. They should be the person that your people idolize and want to be like, and no one wants to be like the martyr, which is
Mm.
King Arthur's view. And I can't really remember Gilgamesh's view because Gilgamesh is just I am the best. I am like a god. So anyway, let's see. Kiri Kodamin, another participant in the Grail War, almost has no bond with his assassin servant and uses him purely for data gathering for his ally Tokiomi to Tusaka. Assassin is also not given much of a personality and literally treated as a spy. I have two images of Assassin over here, only because Assassin has like I think 200 versions. Everybody else is like one person. Assassin is like 200 different assassins. So he can keep an eye on everybody at once, essentially. I think they're all dead now, though. He kind of used them all in that episode I was referring to before. He tried to use them all to kill Alexander the Great, Gilgamesh, and Saber, and failed. Because Alexander the Great's big power is that he basically has an entire army at his call.
Yeah.
Alexander the Great is like he has an army of his own servants that he can use. Alexander the Great, Gilgamesh can summon like swords that he can throw as weapons, like through a giant gate behind him. So he can throw like thousands of swords at you at once, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Saber has like an invisible sword. I think it's supposed to
Excalibur.
be, yeah, it's supposed to be like invisible so nobody can identify it as Excalibur. So it just looks like air floating in her hands. That's Berserker. I think his special ability that we've seen so far is that he can turn anything that he's holding into his special weapon. So like Gilgamesh throws one of his swords at him and he catches it and just uses it, that sort of thing. This guy whose name I can't pronounce, just Lancer. He has two different lances, and one can cut through or ignore magic, and the other one leaves a wound on you that lasts forever.
Ah.
They're all based on their real life counterparts, but if they had like a historical special ability, like he's also got like a mole under his eye, which is like he's like lady killer. Women just fall for him because apparently the mole was historically the thing. And
Okay.
caster over here is Bluebeard, who is just like, I don't know his actual mythology. There's a guy, a serial killer in like British mythos called Bluebeard, who this guy is based on. Anyway, I'll get into them more. I just wanted to cover what their special abilities. His special abilities, he actually fucking casts magic. Let's see. Archer, also known as Gilgamesh or the King of Heroes, is Tosaka's servant. But this servant also has gone out of his way to have private conversations with Kiri. These two will most likely team up or something, as by the end of the season, Kiri was eliminated, but was also allowed to return to the Holy Grail War. I thought I was almost reading a spoiler there for a second, but it actually happened. Kiri loses all the assassins, as I mentioned. They have a mark on their hand, which denotes that they are a master in the Grail War, and his goes away for having lost everything. But literally, last episode, him and Gilgamesh are having a conversation, and the Grail finds him worthy a second time for some reason, and he gets another mark. So, assumedly, he's going to come in this episode with a new servant, I assume. Waver, a student of another participant, Kaneth, becomes a master in the Holy Grail War to prove himself to the Mage Association. He even steals an artifact from Kaneth in order to acquire the Rider servant, Iskander, Alexander. These two have a fun dynamic and provide the comic relief. So far, they are fun, and I'm sure their bond will continue onward as pure foils. I don't know if it says it later here in this description. Alexander the Great kind of treats Waver as like, I almost want to use the word bitch, but he's not a bitch. It's like he's trying to make Waver into a better person, while at the same time he wants to conquer the world. Very few of these people have expressed what their wish would be.
Hmm.
Alexander the Great has expressed that if he wins, he wants to wish that he'll be a real person again, so that he
Hmm.
can then try to conquer the world again.
Huh.
I think
Well,
he considers Bill Clinton his rival.
hmm.
He was watching TV. He's doing a lot of research on like modern weapons, and on TV, Bill Clinton is giving a speech. So he's like considers Bill
Oh,
Clinton one of his rivals.
so it's 1990s. Okay, I see.
Yeah,
Is this show from the 1990s?
that might be. Again, this also happens 10 years before the events of Fate Stay Night, and I've never seen Fate Stay Night myself.
Now, I want to see Face Day Night.
Well, Zebdaq is probably going to keep us going through this whole thing. Ryder is an interesting servant as he treats Waver like the servant rather than his master. He is big on his title as king and develops bonds with both Saber and Archer because of their titles as kings. Saber and Archer have also developed a sort of trust with Ryder as well. Uh, not Archer, Saber, Ryder, and Lancer all kind of have this whole I'm not going to kill you until we're the last ones left sort of mentality because the other people have been more threatening. Also, Ryder offered, hey, let's all join forces. You can work under me, that sort of thing, because he's big and boastful. I had myself drawn as Alexander the Great specifically for this. Griffin had himself drawn as Waver, so take that as you will. Kyria, the master of Berserker, has the most emotional drive to acquire the Grail. He wants to win it on behalf of his estranged family in order to save his childhood friend's daughter, Sakura. He is secretly in love with Aoi, Tosaka's wife, and views Sakura and Aoi's other daughter, Rin, like his own children. His role hasn't been big this season. If you're looking at the board, um, which one is it? Let me scroll it. Ah, damn it. There we go. Now I can scroll in. Sakura down here. You see Matao. He's subservient. Yeah, Kyria got adopted in Matao family. Subservient to him. They calls him a vampire. They do this weird thing with bugs
Oh,
where he kind of lets them infest your body, and them infesting your body sort of has some sort of effect on your next generations being able to have more mana. it's very disgusting. It's like a room full of bugs that you're paralyzed in, and they're crawling all over you and inside of you. That's
Ugh,
why his picture looks that way. Half of his face kind of has worms wriggling through it. It's basically killing him. But he's doing it because Soccer over here got brought into the family too, and she was
that's true.
thrown into the worm room, essentially, and he's trying to save her. So he said, instead of her, take me and I'll win the grail for you. But as was already said, he's also kind of in love with Aoi, who, as if you follow the blue line, is actually Tosaka's wife, but he had his family leave the city so that he could fight and not have them be in danger or anything. Let's see what else. Waver's teacher at the Mage Association, Kenneth, this guy over here with the other long and hard to read name, is the master of Lancer and is the most talented mage. He is a traditional man and hates Kiritsugu for his non-traditional methods. I should also point out that's why I brought up the mole thing that Lancer has going on that seduces women, because
Yeah.
it's not intentional; it just happens. So Candace's wife, or I guess fiance, is actually in love with Lancer because of it.
Oh,
Kenneth got very injured. I think he might have like lost his ability to cast magic. I'm not sure. In a fight with the mage killer over here, but we found him like awake on like a hospital bed sort of thing in the middle of ruins with his wife taking care of him, and she basically it's unsure if he's like she broke his like hand and then threatened to cut off his arm to get his master symbol from him because she's so infatuated with the Lancer that she wants to take his powers from him. And we had this
wow.
whole back and forth that Lancer is such an honorable dude that even without the master symbol, he'll still follow Kenneth, the guy who summoned him here, over her, even if she has the symbol. Because we saw the symbol on her hand. And I don't know if she
Yeah.
just drew it on her hand or she actually tortured her husband to get the symbol off of him. But that was
Damn.
like 2 or 3 episodes ago.
Jeez.
The main antagonists of the first season are Ryunosuke Uryu and his servant Castor. Uryu is a serial killer who has no interest in the Grail War, but he is willing to follow his servant to continue his murder sprees. He specializes in killing children, and the
Oh
first
God.
kill is made. This anime is an incredibly dark one. Dead children are everywhere. Literally, was it Waver and Alexander? He does like this weird thing where he finds there's like mana pouring from the sewers, and he goes down there, and it is just like a catacomb full of dead kids. Like even Alexander is like, "Don't turn on the light." Like he's gonna go cast a light spell. It's like, "Don't turn. I don't think you can handle this. I think we need to get out of here for your mental sanity." I mean, the whole kids thing touches everybody. Rin, her best friend, Kotin down here, goes missing, and on the
Oh.
background in the news is constantly talking about missing kids all over the place. And she goes on her like literally the episode's called Rin's Adventure, where she goes finds Kotin, saves a bunch of kids that Ryunosuke hasn't killed yet.
Mm.
Castor's the last one here. Castor Gilles de Rias, also known as Bluebeard, is an insane servant who believes Saber is his lost love, Jeanne d'Arc, and believes the Holy Grail has brought her back without her memory. He and Uryu arguably work together the best when it comes to killing. So Castor has been trying to get Saber, who he thinks is actually Joan of Arc. Um, yeah, and Lancer and him fight Castor. There's this whole thing where what's his name over here? Kodamine's dad is actually part of the church, and he's running the whole damn thing, which
Mhm.
kind of like this whole inside baseball for Tasaka because they're all allies together. But he actually gives out a thing where I will give you more uses of the master spell if you kill Caster. Caster's gone against the rules of the whole tournament. Everybody should kill Caster first. and I don't think it was said here because that was the last note. The master seal that you have lets you cast three commands,
Mm.
which will force your servant to do something that even if they don't want to do it. Like Archer shows up in the first meeting where all of the servants appear at once and are fighting one another or whatever,
Yeah.
and he wants to kill. I think it was Berserker or Lancer or somebody. He wants to kill one of them for being so haughty and thinking that they're better than him. So he has to use one of his caster spells to make Archer leave the fight. The same thing, Lancer wants to side with Saber against Berserker, but Lancer's master wants Lancer to kill somebody, you know? And it seems like Saber is weak at that point because he hits him with one of those he hits her with one of those wounds that won't heal sort of things.
Yeah.
So he commands Lancer to kill Saber, or to fight Saber, even though Lancer doesn't want to. They're basically mind control almost, except that you don't lose your will. You just regrettably have to do what you're told. So I'm sure that that comes as well together as the time I tried to describe Durara to you off the top of my head. But it's
I
the
know that I know there's a clear villain here, so I hope he gets what it comes up. This is supposed to be the last episode, or maybe because it's a prequel, he survives and he's now the villain in the next series,
well,
the
again,
main
this is 10
series.
years different. Well, again,
Yeah.
this is the first season of a multiple season of Fate Zero. The Fate Stay Night is 10 years later. I believe, based on, again, cultural osmosis, I'll share this. I believe Rin is the main character of Fate Stay Night, but she's a child in this because it's 10 years ago. So Rin's adventure is a childhood Rin, and I guess Rin in the future is a teenager? I
Yeah.
don't know how old she actually is here, but yeah, no, these two are obviously the antagonists for being child killers. But I mean, obviously, everyone is kind of an antagonist to everyone else, in that there can only be one winner. Like, Kiritsugu over here has literally gotten into a shooting match with Kenneth. He actually bombed an entire building. Like, these two, or these three rather, were on, like, I don't know, looks like the 13th, 17th floor of a building.
Mm.
And he literally terrorist attacks the building just to kill these three.
Mm.
When they survive, though, and they later attack him. Um, Kodamine over here got into a fight with I don't want to call her. I'm gonna call her Hisu, and Irisvel outside of the mansion that literally her husband and Kenneth were fighting in.
Mm-hmm.
Um, sorry, very first episode, Irisvel and Kiritsugu had this conversation that he is going to kill her, his wife.
Okay.
I'm not certain. Also, in the present, the very first episode starts like 10 years even before the current
Mm.
timeline. Obviously, this is their daughter, and fucking adorable. By the way, I hope she does come back in Fate Stay Night. She is fucking adorable. But in the current time, she is referred to as a homunculus, Irisvel. So maybe he did kill his wife. I'm not sure, but it was something that they both knew was going to happen. Like, she accepted the fact that. Anyway, I only bring that up because Heisu over here, him and her and Kiritsugu have this what feels like an affair, except that she knows about it and is like, it's fine because maybe she's the homunculi and she's already dead. And it's like, I want you to have a happy life. Also, he is like completely depressed about the fact that he's gonna kill his wife or has killed his wife because he has like a whole crying breakdown scene of, I could just run away from all this. We don't have to do this. We could live our lives together. Let's go back to Germany and with our daughter. And she's like, no, you have to do this. If you did leave, you wouldn't be the man I fell in love with because that guy wouldn't give up.
That's
Anyway,
weird.
you see a lot of Hiseo and him like together, and sometimes they're making out. It's just like, it's just a weird element.
Yeah.
Oh, I also bring up that these two people are here because Velvet is mind controlling them. Sorry, Waver,
Hmm.
into believing that he is their kid because he needed a place to stay. So he changed their memories into thinking that he's their kid. But sometimes they'll be like, "Why are there a bunch of chickens in our yard? We don't have chicken." The elements of it will fall apart. Other than that, I think that's all the other. Oh, yeah, these guys over here, they're only here because they're elements of Lancer's actual real world backstory that we saw during an episode. They're obviously dead because historically they're dead. It's been a long time. Age would have killed them. Yeah, but I guess any actual questions or anything, given that that was like a hard run through of hard to keep track of information.
I mean, I don't have enough context to get a question. I mean, so let's just get into it and see what happens.
All right, well, let's go ahead and hop on into it.
But before we get started,
Make sure that you hit the like button.
Hit that subscribe button.
Comment down below to feed that algorithm.
on top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
Unfiltered.
Uncensored.
And uncut.
as well as some early access stuff,
You can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
It's my boy. Iskander.
Okeanos.
Has to have been from the past. It's my boy.
しかしまたどういう風の吹き回しだ？街に出ようとは。
別にただの気分転換だよ。お前だって盛り場を出歩きたいってずっとごねてたじゃないか。
異教の市場を冷やかす楽しみは戦の興奮。
Also, Waver isn't like really, really short or anything.
そんな理由で
Iskander is just a fucking giant.
本当に気の毒だよな。
なんだ坊主、そのまるで見てきたかのような言い草は。
いいんだよ。こっちの話だ。
I guess they're just spending time together. Again, beyond the one episode where they all, Saber, Archer, and Ryder all talk to one another. Not a lot of action on Ryder's behalf. And obviously there would have been a comment to be had, but unfortunately, since it's Lesson's first intro into the episodes, I don't want to bury him into the super complex philosophical comments that this show beholds. Lisa, by the way, makes amazing openings to shows. Not openings, songs. Because a lot of the world building of Fate, the comments have told us, are in the realm of, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Well, because it's like, okay, where do the servants come from? Are dead people like real? What is the world building behind everything? It's very complex, very philosophical, and at the end of the day, the answer should be just don't worry about it.
Seven, the CGI. I mean, everything is CGI now, but
Your antagonist, by the way.
あんまりだ。精魂込めて俺たちが仕上げてきたアートが。
His artwork, by the way, were kids like crucified to those walls. There was kids hanging off of those walls that were still alive, by the way, being tortured.
Jesus.
龍之介、本当の美と調和というものを理解できるのはごく一握りの人間だけなのです。 むしろ大方の俗物にとって美とは破壊の対象にしかなり得ないものなのです。なればこそ被造物に過度の愛着を抱くのは
No, for the
禁
future,
物だ。
I'm gonna get
ひとたび
new
形を与
subtitles
え
for
られ
these
たものはいずれ
episodes.
壊れゆく運命にあるのです。
Does he have a
むしろ
jester?
我々
Oh, he has a
創造者は
jester
創作の過程にこ
suit.
そ喜びを抱くべきなのです
Like I said, I don't know a lot about the
壊れ
actual
た分だ
Bluebeard.
けまた作りゃいいってこと？
その通り。いつもながら龍之介、その端的なる理解はあなたの美徳ですよ。
Oh, also, apparently Cthulhu is real in this universe.
ああ、俺たちあんまり楽しみすぎたせいで、もしかして罰が当たったのかな。
これだけは言っておきますよ、龍之介。神は決して人間を罰しない。ただ眼漏するだけです。
旦那？
かつて私はおよそ地上にて具現しうる限りの悪逆と特進
Yeah, they're the two worst people, but they get along way too well.
せども怪我せどもこの身に下るはずの神罰はなく、気がつけば邪悪の探求は8年に及んで放任され感化され続けた。結局最後に私を滅ぼしたのは神ではなく、私と同じ人間どもの欲得でした。教会と国王が断罪の名目で私を処刑したのは、我が手中にあった富と領土を簒奪したいがためだった。我が背徳に歯止めをかけたのは裁きなどとは程遠いただの略奪だったのですよ。
でも旦那。
Oh, also somewhat unrelated.
それでも
Servants come into the modern age with knowledge of the modern age. Doesn't make sense to a lot of things, like why Alexander the Great had to do a lot of research.
だってこの世は退屈だらけなようでいて、だけど探せば探すほど面白おかしいことが多すぎる。昔から思ってたよ。こんなにも愉快なことが仕込まれまくってる世界ってのはできすぎてるぐらいな代物だって。いざ本気で楽しもうと思ったら、この世界に勝るほどのエンターテインメントはねえよ。きっと登場人物50億人の大河小説を書いてるエンターテイナーがいるんだ。そんな奴について語ろうと思ったら、こりゃもう神様としか呼びようがねえ。
では龍之介、
I think there was more than 5 billion people on Earth in the 90s.
Yeah.
They were at least the 7 billion mark.
この世界のシナリオをずっと休まず書き続けてるんだとしたら、それ愛がなきゃやってられねえでしょ。きっともうノリノリで書いてんだと思うよ。自分で自分の作品を楽しみながら。神様は勇気とか希
I
望
also
とか
point out that I
人
don't think
間
we
参加
spent
が
this
大好
much
きだ
time
し
with these two
それと同じぐ
since
らい
the
に
first episode.
息吹やら悲鳴やら絶望だって大好きなのさ。でなけりゃ生き物の
This guy is
体が
completely
あんなにも
crazy
色鮮やかな
and
わ
should
けが
die.
ない
Oh, he
It's
is.
the only way.
旦那、
He is crazy.
きっとこの世界は神様の愛に満ちてるよ。
もはや民草に信心はなく、異性もまた真意を捨てたこの時代に、まさかこんなにも新しくみずみずしい信仰が芽吹い
I
て
mean,
い
they're
よ
both
うとは
crazy.
振幅しました龍之介、我がマスターよ。
いや、そんな照れくさいって。
しかしあなたの宗教観によるならば、我が特進も茶番に過ぎないのでしょうか。
いやさ、汚れ役だってきちっと引き受けて笑いを取るのが一流のエンターテイナーってもんでしょ。旦那の
I bet we're
容赦ない
spending this
ツッ
much
コミな
time with them
きっと神様も大
because
喜び
normally
で
they're
僕を
surrounded
返して
by
くれると思うけど。
tortured kids and blood and whatnot. And this is the first time we don't have that.
特進も来産もあなたにとっては等しく同じ崇拝であると仰せか。ああ、龍之介、まったくあなたという人は深遠な哲学をお持ちだ。あわねく万人を愛玩人形とする神が自身もまた道家とは。なるほど。ならばその悪辣な思考もうなずける。よろしい。
I mean, it does follow on
が
that short movie I keep referencing, Sunset Limited. One of the characters says if there's a favorite sound to God's ears, it must be the din of our suffering.
なんかまたすげえことやる
Not
ん
the
だね。
exact quote, but it goes something like that.
Oh yeah, those two must be
じゃあ
stopped.
僕はしばらくこ
And
の
I
本
bet
屋に
this
いるから
this is its first season. They're gonna
と
survive
りあ
and
えずお
keep
前は
doing
何やっ
this.
ててもいいけどこの
I
ア
don't
ー
know. I
ケー
think
ドから絶
Castor
対
almost
に
got
出る
killed
な
like a couple episodes
も
ago
し
when
万
he
が一僕が
attacks
襲われたら
Lancer and
お前だ
Saber
っ
in the
て一巻の
woods.
終わりなんだからな
Again, everyone's been told
征
that
服する
if
の
you
が
kill
役
Castor
立つ
first,
するな
yeah, you'll get a bonus.
えじゃねえよもういや万引きも無銭飲食も一切なしだ欲しいものがあったらきちんと金を払えそれと
Oh
も
yeah,
レンジで言い聞かせ
Alexander's
ない
been
とわ
taking
からない
stuff.
か
何を無粋な。マケドニアの礼儀作法はどこの宮廷でも文明人として通用
Because he's
した
the king of conquerors,
Yeah,
obviously.
また後でな。
He's the king of conquerors. Gilgamesh is the king of heroes. I don't remember what Saber identifies as king of something.
Oh, he's a kid too, so he could be a victim as well.
No. The kids that Rinosuke and them go with are like kids, like pre 10 years old and
大王
whatnot.
は勝ち取った占領地での支配も利権も
Waver is
全て
like
地元の皇
college
族に
age.
放り投げ自
Or
ら
at
の
least he
陣を
seems like
築
that
いて
because he's
さ
in
ら
a
に東
magical
へと去って
academy
いっ
for
た
college students.
夢で見た通りだあいつはただ最果ての海にオケアノスにたどり着きたいがために遠征を続けたのか
Now, knowing where he was,
おい、坊主、どこ
the furthest ocean would have been the Pacific. But it feels like we're probably talking about the Atlantic.
そうちびっこいと本棚の間にいたんじゃ全然見えんな。探すのに苦労したわい。
普通の人間は本棚より小さいんだバカで何買ってきたんだよ
ほれ、なんとアドミナブル大戦略は本日発売だ。
Video game.
Well, it's the same thing as a shirt.
Uh huh.
世のラックはやっぱり伊達ではないな。
Oh, also there are like stat cards for these guys, so the fact he's referring to his own luck set is weird.
抜かりはない。さあ、坊主、帰ったら早速対戦プレイだ。パッドも2つ買ってきたからな。
僕はなそういう下船で低俗な遊戯には興味ないんだよ
もう、なんで貴様はそうやって好き好んで自分の世界を狭めるかな。ちった楽しいことを探そうとは思わんのか。
うるさいな余計なことに興味を割くぐらいなら真理の探求に専念するのが
で、そういう貴様が興味を持っていたのはこの本か。っておい、これは世の電気ではないか。おかしなやつだな。当の本人が目の前にいるんだから直に何なりと聞けばよいではないか。
ああ聞いてやる聞いてやるよお前歴史だとすっげえチビだったってことになってるぞそれがどうしてそんなバカでかい図体で限界してるんだよ
世がワイクとな。
I didn't know that Alexander the Great was supposed to be
やはり
tiny.
どこの誰とも知れんやつが書き留めたものなんぞ当てにならんもんだわい。
I thought he was gonna ask him what he
違
was.
ってるなら違ってるで怒らないのかよ
別に気にすることもないが。変か
It aligns with my values. I don't give a shit what's said about me when I'm dead. I'm
自
dead.
分の名前を後世に残そうと思って躍起になるもんだろ
そりゃまあ史実に名を刻むというのもある種の不死性ではあろうがな。そんな風に本の中の名前ばっかり2000年も流れるぐらいならせめてその100分の1でいい。写しみの寿命が欲しかったわい。
じゃあ30そこそこで死んだっていうのは
おう、そりゃあっとるな。
I just love Alexander the
Okay.
Great. He's a great character.
神様もびっくりなすっげえツッコミ頼んだぜ旦那
ご期待あれ龍之介。最高のクールをご覧に入れましょう。
マジ楽しみにしてっから
This is already more Ryunosuke than we've ever seen in any episode. Castor appears a lot to fight other people, but Ryunosuke is barely ever around.
今からすっげえ面白いことが始まるんだ。
Okay. He's gonna flood the entire city?
Or summon something. He's been doing a lot of summoning stuff. He's also been using children as shields. I didn't mention that before either. Because Saber and Lancer are gonna fucking kill kids, so he, like,
別に
uses them as shields,
つまんないなって思った
Because he's a fucking coward. Okay, I get that.
やっ
essentially.
ぱり退屈しとるんじゃないか。だったら意地張らずにこのゲームを。
違う。お前みたいな勝って当然のサーバントに聖杯を取らせたって僕には何の自慢にもならない。いっそアサシンとでも契約してた方がまだやりがいがあったってもんだ。
そりゃ無茶だったんじゃないか
I
な。
don't know if I mentioned it, but
多分死んでるぞ、貴様。
いいんだよ。
Caneth was going to summon Alexander the Great, and Waver here stole the thing that he was going to use to summon him with. That's why he has Alexander the Great, and Caneth had to settle for
そ
Lancer.
んなこと言われてもな。貴様が聖杯に託す願いが世を見せるほどの大謀であったなら、この征服をとて貴様の差配に従うのもやぶさかではなかったが、いかんせん背丈を伸ばしたいってだけが悲願じゃな。
勝手に決めるなよ、それ。
And Alexander went off on Caneth later on that I would never be with a master like you, because Caneth is too underhanded.
何よ。
いずれ貴様が真に尊いと誇れる生き様を見出したら、その時には嫌が王にも自分のための戦いを挑まなければならなくなる。己の戦場を求めるのはそうなってからでも遅くはない。
この契約に納得できないのは何も僕だけじゃないだろう。お前だって不満なんだろうが、こんな僕がマスターだなんて。本当はもっと違うマスターと契約してればよっぽど簡単に勝てたんだろう。
そうさな。ほれ坊主、見てみよ。世が立ち向かっている敵の姿を。ここに描かれた敵の隣に我らの姿を書き込んでみよ。世と貴様と二人並べて比べられるように。
そんなのは
無理であろう。これより立ち向かう敵を前にしては貴様も世も同じ極小の点でしかない。そんな二人の背比べなんぞに何の
So I would think that Alexander is almost like a dad in this relationship.
世はたぎる。死弱極小。大いに結構。この消し粒に劣る身をもっていつか世界を凌駕せんと大謀を抱く。この胸の高鳴り、これこそが征服をたる心臓の鼓動よ。
要するにマスターなんてどうでもいいって言いたいんだな。
There's also very much a difference of
僕
opinion
が
there.
どんな
Like,
に弱かろうと。そもそもお前
Gilgamesh
にとって
considers him
問題にもならないんだ。
himself above everyone
な
already.
んでそうなるんだおい。
Alexander the Great finds himself below everybody already and wants to challenge everybody.
王の兆しなのだぞ。貴様は死のもの言いつつも、結局は己の小ささを分かっとる。それを知った上でなお、文をわきまえぬ高みを目指そうとあがいておるのだからな。
それ褒めてないぞ。バカにしてるぞ。
そうとも、坊主。貴様は筋金入りのバカ。
Incredible idiot.
貴様の欲望は己の拉致いを向いている。彼方にこそ栄えありと言ってな。世の生きた世界では、それが人生の
The thing that got him on Caneth's bad side is that he tried to rewrite the entire rules for magic,
続けたのかよ。
ああ、
and Caneth, like, put him down in front of the entire classroom for being an idiot and going against
夢は
tradition.
叶わなかったわい。
あの海を見ていない。
オケアノスは今なお世の目指す場所。
So the Okeanos is the Pacific.
あの海はライダーが胸に抱いてきた。
I mean, like I said, it would be the furthest ocean,
笑うがいい。
but his empire didn't really actually touch the Atlantic Ocean, which would be the ocean he would most likely know
大
about.
バカ者だ。
Or
Yeah, but he was
Noah's
moving
existed.
east. His last campaign was in India. He was keep moving east. So yeah, it would have been the Pacific.
川だな。
何が起こっているか見えま
I
す
guess
か
she does have the
ラン
symbol.
サー
やはりキャスター
Kana's wife, by the way, one
川
I
の中
mentioned
に陣取
before.
って何かやっているらしい。司祭のところまでは見えかねますが、
仕留めるなら今が絶好のチャンスね。
しかり。
キャスターを仕留めれば一つ失ったランサーとの絆を取り戻せる。
That little smudge there is why I'm wondering if she drew it on her hand, or if she actually tortured her husband to get it.
そんな、私だって今はマスターです。おそばから援護します。
なりません。あなたにはケイネス殿のように武の心得があるわけではない。あの川岸は七となりましょう。ご理解ください。
でも、
それともソラウ様もまたこのディルムットの矛先に曇りありと疑われますか。死なる戦いに戯れるものと。
ランサー、現場の判断はすべてあなたに任せます。どうか存分に悔いなき戦いを。
I don't know that we've seen Kanath ever since she tortured him, so I don't know.
勝利の暁には。
Just to clarify, if you see them turn invisible,
あなたの笑顔。
they're not teleporting, which is funny enough to me. They're just turning invisible, so they're leaving the scene. They're walking away Batman style. Technically, you could wave your arm around and still probably hit them.
キャスター。キャスターが何らかの大規模魔術を遂行中であることは、この尋常ならざる魔力の放射から疑う余地はありません。
ようこそ聖書女よ。再びお目にかかれたのは強烈な
That's like how
怒り。
I introduce women to a room.
ゲローメ、今夜は何をしでかすつもりだ。
申し訳ないがジャンヌ、今宵の主賓はあなたではない。ですが、あなたもまた列席していただけるというのなら、私としては至上の喜びですとも。不肖ジルドレーメが催す死と大敗の共演をどうか心ゆくまで満喫されますよ。
Pretty sure that's supposed to be the Necronomicon.
今再び、
Yeah.
我らは救世の旗を掲げよう。
キャスターが吸収されていく。
見捨てられたる者は集うがいい。私が率いる。私が滑る。我ら貶めら
This
れ
is
た
why I
者
said
た
that
ちの演奏は
Cthulhu is
必ず
real.
や
Because
神
he
にも
does like this
届
kind of
く。
shit.
おお天上の主よ。私は球団をもって恩義をたたえよう。
あれは
傲岸なる神を、冷酷なる神を、我らは御座より引きずり下ろす。
Sorry, writer obviously have writing ability, so it's three summons.
制服を。
よせよせ、今夜ばかりは休戦だ。あんなデカブツをほっぽったままでは、おちおち殺し合いの一つもできゃせんわ。さっきからそう呼びかけて回っとるのだ。ランサーは承諾した。じきに追いついてくるはずだ。
And when I said that kind of thing, I didn't mean he was summoning giant monsters like this. He was like summoning like blobs and tentacles and whatnot
し
before.
ばしの命だが、共に宙を
But this one is big.
ベル、あんたたちに策は。さっきランサーから聞いたが、キャスター本人と戦うのはこれが最初じゃないんだろ。
ともかく速攻で倒すしかないわ。あの怪物は今はまだキャスターからの魔力供給で限界を保っているんだろうけれど、あれが独自に糧を得て自給自足を始めたらもう手に負えない。そうなる前にキャスターを止めなくては。
なるほどな。奴が岸に上がって食事を始める前にケリをつけなきゃならんわけだ。しかし、当のキャスターはあの分厚い肉の奥底と来た。さて、どうする？
引きずり出す。それしかあるまい。奴の宝具さえむき出しにできれば、
俺のゲージャ力は一撃で術式を破壊できる。
That's what,
ランサー
4 of how many
その槍の攻
remains?
撃で騎士からキャスターの砲具を狙えるか。
物さえ見えてしまえば。
Oh yeah, Berserker ain't gonna fucking show up. Berserker's
なら
Berserk.
ば先方は
Yeah.
私とライダーが務める。いいな。制服を。
And assassins are all dead.
どの戦車に道はいら
But
ぬ
that
から
guy got a
としても
new summon and we haven't seen what it is yet, so is he gonna show up here or
さあ
not?
川の中の敵をどう攻める気だ。
この身は湖の乙女より加護を授かって
And obviously Archer
何
isn't
キロ
here
の水
either.
であろうとも
Gilgamesh.
我が歩みを阻むことはない。
おお、それはまた稀有なやつ。ますます我がばっかに加えたくなったの。
方言のツケはいずれまた払ってもらう。今まずあの化け物の腹渡からキャスターを暴き出すのが先決だ。
はは、しかり。ならば一番槍はいただくぞ。はあ。
セイバー、ブーンを。
As far as I can tell, there's no rule that your master has to be anywhere near you during a fight, so it's weird that Waver is always, like, being dragged in.
決着をつけるぞ。キャスター。
Also, there's a countdown.
Mm.
At the end of every episode, there's a countdown, so I guess it's to
Oh,
the
okay.
end of the war, but, you know, it started off at, like, over 100 hours. So, yeah, I guess I'm thinking this is actually the end of the first core. Also, these pieces here, Archer has a chessboard in front of him when he's talking to Kirite, I think his name is.
Mm.
The guy who's gotten a new summon that we haven't seen yet, or will have gotten a new summon. He
Yeah.
has those pieces on a chessboard in front of him, so I don't know if they actually represent anything or not. There's Archer right there. You see what he looked like? So, I mean, what do you got? Thoughts?
I like what I saw.
Bluebeard.
I just hope that I would just wish these guys get their comeuppance. But if this is the last episode, so
Well, no, the last episode of the season. I was about to say,
yeah.
by the way, one of the assassins, anyway. I'm thinking it's more of like the last episode of the core, but the thing is, every time I see listed, it's last episode of the
Mhm.
season. So there's multiple seasons, though.
Mm.
Well, kind of the battlefield, you know, the Arthurian legend where Arthur dies.
Yeah. Camelin.
Sorry, where?
Battle of Camelin. The Battle of Camelin.
No, it's supposed to be the fields of. Never mind, hold on.
やっちまえ青ひげの旦那。
このような失態を前代未聞。我が
Jets.
司法たるエアをここで抜けと。
セイバー、
英雄、どうかお待ちを。なんてやつだ。
一人残らず殺し尽くす。
Okay, it said second season. Okay, I was right. It didn't feel like a season ender. No, I can't remember the name of it. I thought it was the fields of. Sorry, the story goes that he goes to meet with his enemy at the time. I can't remember the name. And they have all of their forces there, but they're having like an armistice or something. And the signal is if I draw my sword, that's the signal to attack. And a viper or an asp or something goes to strike one of them, and one of them pulls their sword to kill the snake. And that is signals everyone else to attack, and that's where everybody dies.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the fields of something. Pretty sure it's not the fields of Camelot, otherwise I'll feel like I write this.
Battle of Camelin. I said Camden, but it's Camelin.
Alright.
And it's Mordred, his nephew.
Right,
depending on
right,
which
okay.
version
My
it is.
problem is that Mordred and Morgaine, was that her name?
Morgan Le Fay.
Morgan Le Fay. I thought it was Morgaine. That must be something else.
Morgan
M-
is someone else in the story. But
M names, you know. Anytime there's too many names that start with the same letter, right over me. So,
Well,
yeah.
there's many variations of this story of Arthur.
Of course.
Because it's evolved since the 9th century, I think it is. the list of kings, and I forgot who actually wrote the list of kings. The one you see in the movie Excalibur is based on the More of the Arthur, the death of Arthur, which is kind of the most complete version that came out in the 15th century.
Well,
So
you're gonna hate this. The one that I keep in my head is from Babylon 5.
yeah, Babylon 5 is
But
a
he's
version of the more
he's retelling the story,
in the
and then I
story.
at
Yeah,
some point looked it up, and it's like, okay, that's basically the story. So that's why that one's always stuck in my head. I've gotten it from two sources.
yeah.
But yeah, no, sorry. That's what also appears, I think, in this when they're talking about martyrdom and sacrifice. That you see like a flashback from Saber's perspective, and it's basically the dead across the fields, and Saber's still there,
Yeah.
lamenting their survival at the sacrifice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of how this show operates, is that you get the perspectives of a couple of characters per episode. So
Mhm.
we really haven't spent that much time with Castor and Ryunosuke before, except for maybe the first episode where you first get him summoned,
Yeah.
and maybe a couple, Rin's adventure shows Ryunosuke only in that he kind of like seems to hypnotize kids to following him, where he keeps them like in a comatose state until he starts torturing them and killing them.
Ugh.
Well, that's his character. He wasn't even about the Grail War. Apparently, he was like he killed a family, and then he had that book. I guess he had the Necronomicon, and he's like, oh, there's this weird spell thing in the page to draw a blood circle. It's like, oh, he does that. And then Castor shows up, and he's kept one of the kids like tied up and like on the couch next to the dead bodies of his parents. And Castor shows up and like lets the kid go, like he's being a good guy. And then the kid runs to the front door, and you see like all the shoes laid out in front of the hallway, like everybody that must have lived here at one point. And the
Yeah.
kid is like happy to be let go, and you still see he's like worried about maybe he should turn back to save his family, even though his family's already dead. And that's when you see all the tentacles come running down the hall, grabbing the kid. The kid's screaming in the background, and you hear it, and you see the blood splatter all over the place. That's the introduction of Castor. That he is sadistic on purpose.
Give
But
them hope, and then
yeah. The blasphemies thing that Ryunosuke was describing before. That the blasphemies are an entertainment to God. They're just as good as worship. Yeah, so I guess at most you didn't see the more complicated characters like Gilgamesh, who spends more of his time with again the guy who used to control assassins and just lost them all, talking to him about what his motivation is in the war. Because the implication so far has been that he has himself no motivation in the Grail War, that he's only here because his dad and Fusaka, whatever his name is, the guy who's in charge of Archer, that they have brought him there in order to help. Although the implication also being is that he lost his wife, and that might be a motivation, even though he says he has no motivation.
bring her back, I guess.
I guess, I don't know. Again, the Grail is said to be able to do anything. It's a wish. I think it's only supposed to be one wish, though.
Yeah.
And it's also not the Holy Grail, even though it's called the Holy Grail. It's its own separate thing, apparently.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
what else you got?
I mean, again, I don't have a lot of context. I like the representation of the characters, right? They're more or less true to who their historical background is, but they also inhabit this particular world and have their own expressions, right? Right. So it's like, yeah, Alexander is not the way they explain him is that he's always looking for new challenges. That's why he wants to conquer the world. I guess that could be interpreted in many ways, right? He could be, oh, I want to be the best. He has literally the Gambate spirit. Like he wants to be the very best in what he does. In his case, he was a king and he conquered the world, right? But the whole conversation with the kid was like, listen, life is a challenge, right? And the only thing you can do, except that you're small, and therefore you start from nothing and get to something, whatever it is that something you want to do, right? And the kid goes like, "Oh, Oceanus, the ocean, isn't a real place. It's like literally the end of the world, right? Because the landmass ends, and there's the forever ocean. He was always looking to get there, to be the person who conquered the world and left his name. That's who don't care about the details, It's like, and he says, I would have preferred those names to be when I was alive, right? Because
Well, no, he
I was
says
achieving.
the commentary is about how his name survived, but none of the actual information about him, like you're supposed to be tiny. He said I would have traded any of that for a fraction of the lifespan,
Yeah.
As long as my name has been known, I would have preferred to have lived longer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's, I mean, what I saw, I liked. Yeah, the thing with the kids, it's a thing that I go like, ugh. I get it. These are truly evil people, right?
Well, look, in anime and most narratives, there's like 1 to 2 ways they're going to show that this person's evil. And I kind of would say this is better than the alternative.
True.
In that, like, I mean, you could exchange kids for like puppies at this point, right? It's just going to be something.
Well, I think
something you don't want to look at, but
it's a way to show that someone's irredeemably evil. Because other forms of evil, being a traitor, even being a killer, they can always sort of finagle a little bit. It's like, oh yeah, I killed them, but he had it coming.
Well, I'm saying,
yes, I betrayed you, but when you start killing and torturing kids, it's like you have no excuse.
Well, it's this or the big R, right? And one, we do the big R all the time. It's unnecessary. You can do. Ironically, the thing we always say is you can do other things to show that you're evil. You don't have to do the big R. And this is one of those other things.
Yeah.
The kid has his focus, and it happens to be on other kids.
Yeah, as a murdering psychopath.
But again, though, we had like the whole episode that you didn't get to see, Rin's adventure, where Rin is going through her whole childhood sort of thing. Because her dad's also, it's like a kind of a backstory of her dad trying to teach her magic, and she has a hard time controlling her magic. Because we kind of see in that episode how magic works, which seems to be like a sort of focus kind of thing, where she's trying to train her magic by like growing a crystal, and the problem is that she keeps putting too much of her magic into the crystal, so it gets too big and it explodes, sort of thing. But then her friend goes missing. She tries to go find her friend. She finds all the kids. She overpowers Ryunosuke through the problem that she has in magic, in that she like overpowers a thing. It's in front of her, and it explodes, and it like disorients him, and lets all the kids escape. So, her flaw becomes her power, that sort of thing. Again, I don't know anything about Rin from Fate's Day Night, where she's the main character. I only know her from here. I
don't think that she is the main character.
I know if you look up Fate's Day Night, you're going to find images of Rin all over the fucking place.
Yeah.
That, like I said, it's osmosis, right? I'm assuming she's the main character in the same way that you would assume maybe Saber is the main character of this show, and that if you looked up Fate Zero, you're gonna find tons of images of Saber. So I don't know.
Yeah, that I get. Yeah.
In which case, it's more of an ensemble show, and maybe she's just the most popular ensemble character from Fate's Day Night. Obviously, there's also a ton of games for all of this stuff that I'm unfamiliar with as well.
This is also based on games, a bunch of video games, which are phone based.
Yeah. I'm unfamiliar. Also, don't have a phone, so
I don't play it. I have a phone, and I don't care to play any of those games. I don't like playing on phones because I don't like the interface.
Well, I would use BlueStacks to play phone games on the computer here, but BlueStacks wants to mess with my operating system. No, not the operating system. What's the word I'm looking for here?
BIOS?
Yeah, the BIOS. It wants to mess with my BIOS, and I am not fucking letting it do that.
Nope.
Some of my old problems with my computer were BIOS related, and I'm talking to the guy on the phone about how to fix it, and he's telling me like, well, you're probably going to want to do this thing. The problem is he wanted to make sure that the computer would not power down or something during the BIOS update and everything, and I'm like, I have no I can't guarantee that at all. I probably don't want to update the BIOS if this is the case. So I've just lived with it the whole time.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I liked it. And even we talk about the kids because and again, it has that impact on you, like, oh God, which is the desired impact. You're supposed to go like, this guy is horrible.
Well,
Let's kill him, right?
there's characterizations in this show that are like Kenneth, for example. He's a jackass. He's a jerk. He has goals that don't seem to mesh well with anybody else's,
Yeah.
but he's not irredeemable, is the thing.
Mhm.
Versus, because he's just playing the game, right? He invades the place. He tries to kill people. The mage killer, who also didn't show up this episode, who bombs an entire building full of people to try and kill Kenneth.
Mhm.
They're not irredeemable. They're just, hardcore on what their point of view is. Versus
Yeah.
Castor and Ryunosuke, who are just not redeemable.
And yet, when they talk about God, right? Because he says, because I think Castor wants to be punished. He has that whole, the whole, I'm a serial killer and I want to be punished for my crimes. And he says, when they finally punished me, they didn't do it because I was evil. Because he recognized that he's evil. Like, I am evil. I embrace the fact that I'm evil. They did it because they wanted my land and my territory, right? They wanted my wealth. That's why they killed him. Yeah. So it wasn't justice; it was theft. It was evil paying unto evil in a weird way.
I mean, doing
right?
something because you want to be punished doesn't make you redeemable. It's just
No. I'm not saying it's
twisted.
redeemable. I'm saying that it's an interesting view because then they goes into this idea of, well, I believed in God. That meant that God doesn't, God isn't just. It's like, but hey, God is the ultimate creator, and therefore he enjoys all of it, both the pain and the suffering as well as the heroes, right?
Well, there
It's
you
the
go,
idea-
Lessons. You've drunk the philosophical Kool-Aid that I told you this show delves into. I tell you, wait till the next comment shows up to start, and I'm going to restart reading those comments.
It's interesting. I'm not saying that I'm agreeing with the murderous child killers. I'm saying that it's an interesting take, right? On, yes, I believe in God, because one of the things about being people who are religious put on atheists, like, you don't believe in God because of the parable of evil, right? And it's like, no, God is God, right? God is a supreme being. He enjoys all of it. Evil is part of the cruelty and the madness is all part of his show, and we're just his puppets, right?
Checkmate atheists.
Yeah, I guess so. Checkmate religious people, I suppose. Checkmate. It
Well,
depends
the thing that you were just saying would be checkmate atheists.
Yeah, checkmate atheists, Lincolnites.
I'm literally just watching those videos.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love the back and forth. It's like, for the longest time, it was also, is this the same guy, or does he actually have a brother?
No, it's the same guy.
Yeah, I know. It's just the concept of having to shave your beard a little bit to play a different guy.
Yeah. Which means he has to film them in like a couple of days or weeks apart.
Depends on how fast his hair grows, yeah.
Yeah.
Then you have to also maintain the length of the other guy.
Yeah. Anyway, the fact that even the extremely effed up people, I want them to be eviscerated by the biggest thing that they could throw at them, and that would be the one satisfying thing. The fact that they talk that way is like, okay, these people deserve to die, but it's interesting.
Well, preferably you would pick somebody and you would hope that they would win. That's been my investment, is I'm really hoping Alexander wins. He's my guy. I had myself drawn as him. Obviously, if this goes on long enough, I'd have you drawn as somebody else.
I like what I saw about Alexander, but I got to see the other characters to see what's what.
Yeah, you only got like a little glimpse of Lancer, and that was the whole honor aspect. Saber just kind of showed up. There's really a lot to show of Saber's mentality in this one. You haven't seen Alexander yet. You haven't seen whoever the fuck Kirite is getting his new summon, because again, he got a new master symbol. The assassins are gone.
Yeah. Also,
and Berserker is just fucking berserk. So I don't know what you would pick from that. The long discussion last time me and Justin had was that literally Arthurian legend is kind of like almost every other legend base if you dissect the characters of who would be who. So technically, if you look at Lancers, and again, I can't remember any of the names, and also they're like Welsh, which is going to be impossible for me to even say.
I mean, there's
the
Lancelot.
the character.
And
No,
I
I'm
think
saying the characters in Lancer's own mythos are essentially just like King Arthur's relationship to everybody in his, the Round Table, his enemies, etc. It's almost one for one, so that everybody is an Arthurian legend to each other, and not just in Lancer's thing. I mean, in every mythos that's here.
I mean, Arthur started from a strong Welsh, and he's supposed to be a Welsh king, the king of the Britons. So he comes from that very strong Celtic Welsh tradition, where I think Lancer might come from the Celtic Irish tradition, which is there's got to be crossover, right? So yeah,
I know very little of that, and I only knew the most I ever knew was like a long time ago when I was playing in an Ultima Online server that was based on Celtic mythos and whatnot, and that was the most research I ever did for it. And
I have an encyclopedia of myths. Oh, I bought it somewhere, and I love to read that stuff. And I'm also was big on Greek myths when I was a kid. Other kids were into I don't know dinosaurs, and I was into Greek mythology.
I was a
That was me.
dinosaur kid, and I don't remember a
Yeah.
lot about dinosaurs
Yeah.
either. Also,
Yeah.
a lot of stuff that we knew about dinosaurs not true anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
and the stuff that I read about Greek mythology didn't include Zeus being Zeus.
well,
Yeah, so there's that. There's a lot of that got censored.
oh, you
You
mean the big R? Gotcha.
Yeah, well,
Well,
yeah.
he did that too,
Yeah.
but I mean, yeah. Also, a lot of the. I'm sorry, I was about to say
And
pedophilia. It's not pedophilia. It was
No.
zoophilia, is what I meant to say.
Yeah, and he invented he was literally the inventor of the golden shower.
I was going to say, so I'm just going to bypass that. Also, you should watch Mr. In Between. Sorry, one of Mr. In Between's things is his friend gets caught with literally golden shower porn, and Mr. In Between has to like take the fall for me, man. She's gonna leave me if she buys. Anyway, I was gonna say there's a half-life on facts, right? A certain number of years, certain things that we know to be true are actually found out to be untrue, and we replace them with new facts. But that would be the thing about myths. There's no half-life on myths. Myths are always, one, wrong, but they're just stories, right? There's no half-life on mythology being
mythological. The thing about mythology, first of all, it's a fusion of a lot of stories. So by definition, for all those elements to coexist, you have to ignore the contradictions, right? Zeus can literally be the god of justice because he is. That's one of his thing of the pantheon, and be one of the most unjust motherfuckers in the universe.
Right. No, what I'm saying is what I'm saying is that like magnetism, right? Doing research on magnetism. Magnetism works one way, and it only works that way, and then you have to take all the facts you've got about magnetism and make them fit within the model of what's been able to be proven true. A myth,
and it doesn't.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying is you can refine that theory into as close to a fact as possible, and that's as best as you're going to get. But it's still going to operate the way that it's always operated through scientific testing, because that is the scientific method. That it has to be reproducible. Versus a myth is like a person. You can have that dichotomy of thought, that dichotomy of purpose, everything, because it can evolve, or it has evolved over time, because a myth arose from a certain period of time and then was cultivated during other time periods. Versus, again, a myth is like a person. They can be different all across. A person doesn't have to make sense. A fact has to make sense.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. A myth doesn't have to live up to the half-life of facts.
I got you. Understand.
All right. Well, any final thoughts here?
Nope.
I'm glad this one hit you better than Durarara, at the very least.
Yeah, Durarara.
Like I said, I think you're gonna find you'll enjoy Durarara the more you spend time in it. Durarara is not a toe dip episode or a toe dip show. We unfortunately had to start you off with a toe dip, but I think as you acclimate to the waters of Durarara, it'll hit you with it'll be less, why is this happening, or I need to figure out why this is happening. Versus, I feel Fate is more of a motivational show. You're in the motivations of characters, you're not in the why are they doing this of characters. Alright. Well, once again, I have been Theta. This has been Lessons. We've been Stoneface Reactions. Thank you, Septic-Q, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?